Kandi was an interesting company, a Chinese-based EV manufacturer that seemed to get a lot of support. I initially discussed them before they were super well known, and then Hindenburg Research released a report about them, alleging some pretty strong allegations, one of which was fraud. And I did an update on that report. I was waiting for a response from Kandi. I was wondering how it was going to be, and I promised to make a video covering Kandi's actual response. And Kandi has responded to the report. Before going any deeper, let me give some context. Hindenburg Research is a short-selling firm, and they did a massive report on Kandi. The report was incredibly detailed, and it went through tons and tons of different documents. Probably one of the stronger topics it talked about was the lack of demand for these vehicles, even in China, how tons and tons of them were seen and found in this massive parking lot, completely unused. And there were a lot of allegations that the vast majority of Kandi's sales were to itself, which perhaps made some sense. I'm not sure how well this type of vehicle would sell in the American market, which is infamous for really liking SUVs and trucks. But Kandi is moving forward with the Kandi America venture, and it seems like Kandi America might be used to help prop up these fake sales. Anyway, it was a very detailed and long report. If you're interested in it, I'll have a link in the description below, and feel free to read through the entire thing yourself. And if you're completely unfamiliar with Kandi's cars, this is an example of one of them, the K27. They currently have 2 models they're advertising. The K27 is super small, tiny, and they say it'll be as low as $10,000 after federal tax credits. And with some state tax credits, it might even be lower in certain places. Although it's important to keep in mind that these federal tax credits don't last forever. And right now it's just in the pre-order stage. You can't actually buy it right now. Kandi Technologies did issue their response to the Hindenburg report. They released a letter to shareholders responding to the media story, claiming it was inaccurate. They say they've made great strides on their EV business in China, and that they continue to have a solid U.S. presence in things such as go-karts and specialized EV products. And they reiterated several times that the article is incorrect and reflects a general lack of understanding of the company's business. And Hindenburg actually responded to this. Hindenburg uses their Twitter to deal with a lot of these responses. Generally, they don't do a lot of updates just on their website. And of course, they fan the flames a little firmer, talking about Kandi and how they have a poor reputation in China, that they've raised tons and tons of money from U.S. investors that they're exploiting. And then on December 7th, they finally dealt with the response for Kandi's response. And what Hindenburg is claiming is that Kandi failed to answer their 25 big questions and instead released a limited response for small sections of the report, which refutes nothing, mischaracterizes our research, and raises brand new issues. And they sort of went on a tweet storm addressing each of the points in the Kandi response, and it just goes on and on and on. There are several points they bring up, and Kandi did respond to perhaps Hindenburg's misunderstanding of the Chinese law, but at the same time, you could also say Hindenburg was just asking the question and looking for a response. And this goes on for quite a while. If you're very much interested or an investor in Kandi or thinking about them at all, I'd highly recommend you go through these Hindenburg research tweets as well, because they just keep going and going and going. In all honesty, I do think that the Kandi response was rather weak, given what Hindenburg alleged. Kandi was really just saying, oh, they're wrong, and maybe pointed out a couple of gray areas in Chinese law that Hindenburg might have misunderstood. But in general, it doesn't seem like investors are really renewed in Kandi by and large. If we look at Kandi's stock, they were trading around this $6-7 point, sometimes bumping up, going up to the near $8. And then we saw a huge bull run. And then in the midst of that bull run, we got that Hindenburg report that dropped. And it just absolutely murdered the stock. And it's really been trading flat with maybe a slight downtrend now. And it's really back to where it was before. Now, you could say that all of the EV stocks were affected by this huge bull run and then had a correction, but Kandi's is quite firm. They're really back to where they were a couple months ago. If we look at another micro market cap EV stock like AYRO, we see they were having some blips up and down, but they were trading around $2-3, had a huge spike, obviously a correction because that's a massive spike. But now they're sitting around $6, upper fives, things like that. And before, they never sustained anything like that. They obviously got gains from that huge rush up. It's a similar story with Arcimoto as well. They got a huge bump and haven't corrected down to what they were trading at before, where Kandi is just sort of sitting there. Also, if you really like this sort of content, I would highly appreciate it if you left the video a like and subscribed. It really helps out the channel. Thank you. If you're super unfamiliar with Hindenburg Research, they were pretty famous for their NKLA report. It really murdered Nikola and brought up several major questions. They showed that Nikola was rolling a truck down a hill and claiming it was in motion. And this was actually one of the few rare cases that they issued a response on their website, not just Twitter, going into a lot of detail. And Nikola's response to the initial report was absolutely horrendous. But that doesn't surprise me because Nikola had really been up to some shady, crappy things. And if we look at Nikola stock, it has absolutely collapsed, as more and more skin has been pulled back. People are realizing that this company really doesn't have any game-changing technologies and has not progressed at all. Their founder and many of the people associated with the company really have a questionable past, and they did a lot of very questionable things to pump up that stock price. I would say a major turning point was that Hindenburg report, which likely is what led to the GM deal falling through. Now they just have a standard supplier deal where Nikola is paying up front, whereas before they were going to work together and GM was going to take an equity stake in Nikola. Hindenburg has really slaughtered companies in the past or rectified their share prices. And it will be interesting to see how Kandi continues forward. It's been a while since they issued that update on December 7th. And I can't say I've seen anything super huge or super compelling from them since, and I think that sort of explains why their stock is trading so flat. So it will be interesting to see if anything else pans out, but it looks like they've been hit hard, and I find it very unlikely that they're going to be going up a whole lot unless we get a lot more reassurance from the company. Because as I said before, their response to this report was really on the weak side. And Hindenburg has a really strong track record. As far as I understand, they've never lost any lawsuits, and they do pretty good research. So we will see how all of that pans out. If you're interested in my initial videos on Kandi and the initial Hindenburg report, I'll have those linked in the description as well as in the title cards of the video. If you want to jump into the stock market and get started trading, Webull is a fantastic brokerage option. If you sign up using the referral link in the description below, you'll receive 4 free stocks. 2 of them will be valued between $2.50 to $250, and the other 2 as part of the deposit bonus will be valued between $800 and $1,600. That's $2,100 to $3,700 just for signing up. Again, the link is in the description below, and happy trading.